Hi Angels, I'm Francisco Angel and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be reviewing Immaculate. I ended up rating this movie on Letterboxd 4 stars, so follow me on Letterboxd Franni Angel 5. So first off, again I'm going to talk non-spoilers before I jump into the spoiler portion of this film. I was genuinely surprised by this movie because religious slash Catholic horror, a lot of it becomes repetitive, like over and over. We see the same things, the same themes. So I went in not expecting much. And granted, the first 2/3 of this film, the first two acts, while it's a slow burn, we do see some tropes of that subgenre of horror. You know, dead bird flying into the window as a bad omen and stuff like that. But once the film kicks into that third act, and we get like the twist. I did really enjoy that. I feel like this is what the Nun wanted to be. The Nun movies wanted to be. I feel like this falls in between like serious elevated horror and like can't be schlock. Like this falls in between because this first half feels like very atmospheric, very very slow burn. And then the second half, like we have balls to the walls like action and gore and monologues. But overall, it did work for me. Let's talk about the star of the show. Okay, Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney is so close. Like as an actress, she is so close. She is almost there. And what I mean by that is like we all know from Euphoria, she can scream. Like she can scream. She can be chaotic. Those moments of anger and chaos, like she can perform those. She is really good at those. Like we've seen it before. And yes, in the third act, once it gets to those points of screaming and chaos and all that, like she got it. In particular, there's like the end of the movie. There's a part where she's like covered in blood and she's like screaming for a long period of time. I'm like, okay, she nailed that. Like, and I knew she would nail those parts. But it was the moments where it was more subtle. Like her anxiety and fear was supposed to be more subtle and more toned down. Where I'm not sold on it. There's a part in the film where she's asking like, "Oh, I should go to a hospital. Why am I here?" Where I'm like, your character would feel so much anxiety, like, and be frustrated and have all these feelings. And the way she was delivering it, I did not convey that. It felt very much like acting. Like it wasn't terrible, but it felt like acting. And I think that those are the parts of her performance that she needs to work on to just like round all that that whole performance to round it out as like those more subtle moments. Again, at the end in the final act, like she nails all those screams and all that stuff. Her end performance saved the rest of the film for me. I love the atmosphere of this film. I wish they had more in terms of cinematography. I wish they had more wide shots. There are a few wide shots that are very beautiful. There's no spoilers yet, but there's a scene where it's her and two priests and they're out in this field and there's like this wide shot and they're like in the middle, like in the center of screen, and like those shots look really beautiful. Like at the end, there's a shot where like she's looking up in the sky and it looks really beautiful. So yeah, I wish there was a little more wide shots, but like the shots that we did get are very, very, very beautiful. In terms of Sydney Sweeney's character Cecilia, I liked her. She was very, very resourceful. Like she goes from this meek nun to having to stand up for herself. There are parts of the movie where like if I was in her position I would do that, and then she would do it and I'm like, you know what, I respect you. I respect it. She stood on business and we stand for that. And going in, I had heard that the ending of the movie was either gonna make it or break it for me, and that I heard that like, oh wow, they really went there. So in my mind, I made a more fucked up version of what the ending actually was. And once the ending happened, I was like, oh, so that's what happened. Okay, now I feel really fucked up because I had thought of this like alternate ending that I was like, oh, I think this is where they're gonna go, and it's like, oh no, it was just this. But I'll talk about that in my spoiler review. Finally, the last non-spoiler thing is the gore. This movie ended up having more gore than I thought, and some of the practical effects are really effective. There's more particular, if you don't like nail stuff, there's a part with the nail and the like that shot lingers on it, and the sound design on it, like it just it was just like ew. And again, I welcome gore, so that was a pleasant surprise. All right, so now I'm going to be moving to spoilers. So if you do not want any spoilers, this is your time to jump out of this video. Spoilers happening in 3, 2, 1. All right, so that final take is great. I guess okay. Let's take it back to what ends up being revealed, which is that the priest is actually this mad scientist because they have this relic of the nail of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, and they took DNA from it, and they've been trying to make a Jesus, another Jesus, for the second coming, using, quote unquote pure women nuns. I think they had like 20 failed attempts because they had the jars of like the fucked up fetuses, and experiments, and Cecilia ended up being like, taken, because then that makes sense later, when she like faints or whatever, and then she has that dream where the nuns are like holding her down and she gets stabbed in the stomach. It was like her getting inseminated, because they make you think that this is like supernatural, that this is a Rosemary's Baby type of situation where you have the spawn of Satan in your stomach, and it's not. It's the spirit. It's this fucked up experiment by this priest. I personally like that, because again, my first thought was like, oh, this is like an Omen type situation. But yeah, Cecilia as a character, like, she is so fucking sweet, and you can tell that she genuinely does love God. Like, there's one scene, the scene where she's taking her vows, and the bishop is reading out her vows. Like, they have a close up, and you can tell that her pupil like is dilated. Like, this is a euphoric experience, a formative experience for her. Like, she genuinely loves God and wants to serve God. And I mean, she keeps telling people like, yo, this is fucked up. This Big Daddy in the sky, like, he does not want this. Like, this is messed up. There was one point, and this is perhaps me reading too much into it, because the whole movie, she's talking about how she almost died. She almost pulled a Cheryl Blossom, and she fell into the ice, and she drowned, but she was revived. She was talking about how, to her, she believed that God like kept her alive for a reason. And after, she tries to escape and she gets taken back, she has a confession with the bishop, and she's like, God doesn't want this. Like, this is fucked up. My homeboy, this is fucked. And he's like, well, if this was not God's will, why hasn't he stopped it? And she like looks at him in a way where I was like, in this character's mind, I can imagine that this is like, oh, this is my purpose, to fucking like fuck all of you up, to stop this shit so this doesn't happen to any other women. And that's how I read it, tying it into, her story arc in the beginning. Like I said, there were elements where I was like, I wanted more from Sydney Sweeney. So in the third act, before she kills that first nun, which brutal kill, I loved it. She kills her with that giant ass iron crucifix, where I'm like, this is a meek Christian woman. Like, she has never hurt anyone before. So I kind of wanted to see, like, there would be so many fucking mixed emotions. Like, she would be angry, like furious, but then also like, she's never killed anyone before. And I wanted to see that more of those like conflicted emotions. Sydney Sweeney didn't really have much of an expression when she was killing that first nun, and I wanted something to show like how a character like Cecilia would have all these thoughts, all these emotions like rushing through her. Okay, let's talk about the ending. So let's talk about the ending, the last shot. I love the fucking one take. Like, before that was one of the wide shots I was talking about, like where she's like on the ground, she's looking up. That shot was beautiful. But that one take of her where she's giving birth to Jesus Christ from Wish. And, which, by the way, I was like, where did that shit come from? Like, did it come from her hoo-ha, or did it come from that huge incision that the doctor made? Either way, fucking painful, because we never see it, right? It's off screen, and like, she gives birth to it, and you can tell that this shit was not meant to be on this earth. Like, you just go, I was like, sweet baby Jesus, like, not, we ain't not doing this. And fuck, she like bites off her umbilical cord and then like smashes this baby, this abomination, right? However, maybe to me this is mild, because because I heard that the ending was like, it went there and blah blah blah. My first thought was when she went back, when she's like escaping and she grabs the nail of the crucifixion. I was like, yo, is she about to give herself an abortion with the nail of the crucifixion? Is that what's gonna happen? But no, that's not what happens. I just realized I had a more fucked up mind than these writers did. But like, in my mind, like, that's what I thought it was gonna go, because I had heard from multiple people that like the ending, it takes it there. Like, I guess yeah, like the ending takes it there by her killing like this abomination. But yeah, I was like, oh yeah, this works too. In my head, I was like, yeah, this works too. Some of the practical effects in this, like the nail, when she's fucking peeling her own nail off, and there's like slime like connect like on the nail, like still on the skin, like as she's tearing it off. Like the sound design on that was really good. It made me wince. The tongue. There's a part where like the sister that was her friend. She like speaks out about what's happening here, and she gets taken and she's tortured. So she gets like her tongue cut out. That looked really fake to me. Like the ending of the tongue looks like she was biting onto like a fake tongue, which is probably what was happening. But it didn't look real. Like if you stretched out a tongue and cut it, like that's not what it would look like. Not. I'm not saying like I have experience on that shit. I'm not saying. I'm sounding so certain like if I've seen it, but other than that, like the practical effects were really well done. I thought the priest as the villain, because he was sweet, and I should have clocked it. Sweet characters in the beginning, like you're suspicious, he should be on my radar. I think his whole monologue about what he's doing and wanting to bring the second coming of Christ, it was very hammy. It was very like Scooby-Doo moment. But you know what? It didn't take me out of the film too much. But yeah, I mean those those are basically my thoughts on Immaculate, a film that was almost immaculate. But overall, like it was still a great film, and I would recommend it 100% to go see. Yeah, I do want to see Sydney Sweeney do more horror, like 100%, like for sure, because yeah, with her ability to scream, she does have a lot of final girl potential. But yeah, like I would recommend this movie. If you haven't seen this movie, go see it. I am actually, with this one, Late Night with the Devil, like I am looking forward to horror movies this year. Lisa Frankenstein was also really good. It looks like it's gonna be a solid year for horrors. Horrors? No. It looks like it's gonna be it looks like it's gonna be a solid year for horror, and I am excited to keep watching. But yeah, that was my review on Immaculate. Let me know what you thought down below, and until next time.